All right, what's going on, guys? We're getting set up here. I'm logging on, getting ready to get Devonte in here. Let's see. do, do, do. All right, Devonte. All right, so we're trying to see if we can't get Devonte to patch into the live. All right, so we'll do that. There we go. What's up, man? All right, I'm trying to add you in right now. I just sent you the add link.
Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. What's going on, man?
Hey, it's all good. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing pretty good myself. Welcome back.
Yeah, man. It's good to be
Very
back.
cool. Cool,
Kind of.
cool. You said kind of.
Yeah.
I understand, I understand. Um, so yeah, basically, this is a feature that I figured out we could do. I did this with Patrick once for a DJ thing, and I was like, man, we can
Mhm,
do just go live with our videos, and then that way, wherever you're at, wherever I'm at, we can
mhm.
still do the video podcast if we're not able to get in the same spot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that worked. That worked out well because it's actually raining right now too. So
uh,
it's definitely not fun to go out and drive in the rain.
yeah, no, definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Like I said, we're just gonna kind of wing it a little bit. I mean, we have a topic, but
Mhm,
nothing like no bullet points, nothing like really planned out or anything. So the
mhm,
first thing I wanted to do was just kind of hear about your trip. And I know you got engaged while you were away, so
mhm,
that's super exciting, and congratulations to you there.
mhm.
And just I guess tell me and other people a little bit about it.
Yeah, man. It's hard to summarize 3 weeks worth of traveling, but I do the best I can. Basically, well, the Philippines is a beautiful country, but the reason I went, definitely the most important reason I went, is for my now fiance, Jovelyn Atad. Shout out to her. I know she'll be watching this later. And so we had been dating for about 9 months at that point when I went up to visit her. And I was going to propose to her on New Year's Day originally, but then I
Mm-hmm.
changed it to December 31st in the evening. So Jovi likes to figure things out, and I know she'll probably laugh if she watches this, but she likes to ask a lot of questions and figure things out, and I'm terrible at keeping secrets. So she figured out that I was going to propose on January 1st. So I was like, okay, like you figured that out, but I can switch things up on you.
Mm-hmm. There
So
you go.
but yeah, the place that I proposed her at is a very special place for her, and she's had a lot of crucial memories there in her life. So that's even where she was studying the Bible to become a disciple and things like that. So she had a lot of praying time there. So I'm glad that that was a place that I could actually pop the question because I got to be a part of a new memory there for her. So
Nice.
that was really awesome. And the experience itself was great, man. I was really relieved to finally get on my knee and pop the question because that first week I was there was tough, man. Because I'm like, oh, I just want to propose. I just want to ask her, but I had to. And that first week was definitely the slowest week because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I want December 31st to get here so I can pop the question. But I finally did, and I would say that the next 2 weeks was just a big celebration of our engagement. You know, we just got to really celebrate our engagement through island hopping together, zip lining, snorkeling, things like that. We
Very
got to do a
nice.
lot of fun things, and I saw that as like a big 2 week continuation of our celebration of being engaged. And her family there they spent a lot of time with us. Her friends in the church there. It was just an incredible time, man. Even Brian Savage, that you know, he came the second week that I was there,
Okay,
so when he got to enjoy a lot of things also. But
that's
yeah,
cool.
man, I didn't want to come back. I really did not
Hey,
want to come
hey, I
back.
don't blame you, man.
But but
I
the
don't blame
memories
you.
that we had there, man, would definitely last for a long time, I'm sure. And I just wanted us to keep enjoying, you know, our relationship and continue to enjoy every single day, even though every day we're not going to be in the Philippines hopping islands together. It's still worth it to go through life together and to experience life together. So I'm looking forward to the next journey, which eventually will be marriage, you know, getting married and
Yep.
things like that. So I just want to make the most of every day, man, and keep living with her and keep loving her and keep loving God.
Okay, very nice. Well, that sounds awesome, man. I did because I
Mhm.
never asked you. Are you? Is the plan that you're going to the Philippines, or is she going to be coming here?
Yeah, the plan is for her to come here. Yeah, the plan
Okay.
is to come here. Yeah, because I think we both talked about it. We both agreed that that would be the best next step for us for now. So yeah, hopefully everything gets approved soon in terms of all of the visa paperwork and things like that. So
Yep.
right now it's just a matter of time and just waiting to see how long it takes to get everything approved so she can come here.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah, so we're in
And
that
so you've
waiting
already
time
started
right
that
now.
process with the paperwork going through and everything.
Yeah, yeah, everything's
Okay.
been
Good.
started.
Good.
Hmm.
Hey, man. I'll be praying for that. Good luck on that.
Appreciate it, bro.
I've known a couple. I've got a couple of friends. One of my friends, Frankie. One of my friends, Diane. A couple of people who've been in that situation, um, where one person was in a different country and then they wanted to get married and trying to get them over here. And it is a long, tedious process, but
Mhm.
definitely seems worth it.
Oh yeah, oh
They
yeah.
all seem super happy, and you seem super happy. So I'm really encouraged about that, man.
Yeah, and I've learned that it really is just part of a different kind of journey, man. Like, just being able to meet somebody in a different country and like experience their culture, and them to experience your culture, and even the periods of waiting, and you
Yep.
can't take the other person for granted. You really can't. Like when we're together in person, like we really can't take that time for granted because we know
Right.
that right now that's more of a commodity. That's more of a you know, a gift right now. We don't get to see each other every day yet. But the day is going to come when we will be next to each other every day, and we're looking forward to that. And in the meantime, we're just trying to cultivate our relationship, and we're doing some wedding planning things right now, so that's getting
Okay.
us more excited about our big day. And we just
Nice.
want to enjoy like every step of the process, man. Every step of the journey is it just makes everything more worth it, you know.
Okay. Sounds cool. Sounds cool. Well, man, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. As you know, I'm in the wedding industry, so I always
Mhm.
enjoy hearing people's stories and how they pop the question and what they're going through and different things. It just kind of it's a special spot in my heart that just feels good and warm when people are making it happen when people find each other like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I got some
congrats.
things to talk about with you offline too, man. I might need some of your services. So
Okay,
we'll be talking offline.
okay, we'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
Well, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I keep looking off screen here.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to do, I've got a couple of notes written down, and then I've been checking the feed because I see a couple of people popping in. I was trying to see if there was questions that needed to be answered. Um, but for our topic for today, I figured going along with what we've been doing at Triangle, our word for the year is
Mhm.
entrust.
Yep.
So I figured we kind of just touch on that a little bit. Doesn't have to be anything specific. We've had what 4 Sundays now? Yeah, 4 Sundays now, where the theme has been about entrust.
Mhm.
And what that means and what that looks like for us as a church, for us individually. And so I kind of just wanted to start off with a general um, definition of it. I know for me, we kept talking about it, and I was like, all right, I don't really know the difference between entrust and trust.
Mm,
Um, and so, I just popped on my phone, Googled it real quick, and quick definition. Entrust is to assign the responsibility for doing something to someone. So it's like to charge
mm,
or to commit or to endow somebody. So, like,
mm,
you're giving them the ability to or the power to,
mm,
versus if you just trust, it's to place your confidence or your faith in or to rely on somebody.
mm,
Um, so that just kind of with that sitting in there, like trusting is part of entrust, but it's not the whole thing. So like if you've entrusted somebody with something, you are trusting them, but it's like putting a responsibility on them, it's putting that action on them. So I just
yeah.
kind of wanted to throw that out there real quick, as in terms
Mhm,
of definitions, and then just kind of what we talked about on Sundays so far is um, being entrusted with and entrusting people with money, um, entrusting and being entrusted with people, and being entrusted and trusting to be reliable. Um,
mm,
so I just kind of had a quick question, I guess, to generate thought was what are we entrusted with, or what are our treasures that have been entrusted to us or that we entrust to other people, and
mhm,
how can we entrust more to God?
mm, mm. That's a deep question. So, what was the first part of that again?
So the first part of that is just kind of, I
Mhm,
guess, what are you, and then what am I entrusted with? Like, what are our
okay.
treasures? What has been entrusted to us?
Hmm. Wow, yeah, that's pretty deep, man. You are definitely. I like how Rick framed things Sunday about being entrusted with financial resources because I feel that that's definitely a big thing that we don't talk about it a lot and we don't talk about it enough, really, and because it's definitely kind of a touchy subject, especially in church, right? Like anytime the
Yeah,
subject of money comes up, people get a little bit, they can get a little bit nervous and a little bit uncomfortable because it's just like for a lot of people, it's that dark area where they just don't have accountability a lot of
yeah,
times. They don't really have someone that's asking them like, "Hey, how are you handling your money?" So definitely, money is definitely something that we're entrusted with. And even in the U.S. here, man, like we have this mindset. Everybody, well, a lot of people have the mindset that they don't make enough money and they wish that
yeah,
they made more. But when Rick gave the statistic that basically to be in the 1% of the world's wealthiest people, the statistic that he quoted, you
yep,
basically have to make $32,000 US dollars a year. And
yeah,
if you make that amount and anything more than that, you're basically in the top 1% of the world's wealth, according to that statistic. And I was like, wow, because in the US, like that's considered to be, most people would say, oh, that's not enough, but in
yeah,
the grand scheme of things in the world, that's like a lot of money. So wealth is definitely something that we've been entrusted with. And me personally, myself, I'm always feeling convicted to challenge myself on how I handle my money because it can be easy. There's different extremes, right? There's the extreme where you're spending too much, and you're
hmm,
not saving enough and you're being reckless. But then there's also the other extreme where you're hoarding everything. You're just like, oh, I just want to keep everything for myself. And both of those are unhealthy. You want to be somewhere in the middle where you are definitely taking care of your needs, both present and future, through just being wise and saving and things like that. But you also want to
yep.
be generous because I feel that we have the ability. Most people underestimate their ability to help other
What I'm
people.
trying
Like it
trying
doesn't
to
take a whole lot of money, a whole lot of time to like invest in like other people. Like even like $1 goes a long way in other places. For example, even in my trip in the Philippines, $1 is worth 52 Philippine pesos. And it
do.
goes
Okay,
a long way when you're there. Like you can feed a lot of people. Like $1 can feed a lot of people there, and $100 can feed like even more people. So it's like thinking about like how much money like we have versus like how much we can help other people with. It's really convicting because it doesn't take a lot. Some people get into this idea, or it just takes so much. Like I have to be rich to give to other people, but we already are rich. In the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things, like you have to redefine what it means to be rich. We can help out a lot with that. But another thing also, man, is even harder for me is like we've been entrusted with time.
Yep.
Like that's the big thing because for me, man, for me, I feel like I've gotten to a point where I'm more comfortable like donating and things like that. But when people ask me for my time,
Yep.
it's getting to a point now, man, where it's like, wow, that's sometimes it's harder for me to give
Yep.
that than actual like, being generous with my money because like I like to monopolize my time, right? Like I like to do the things that I want to do in that moment, and then when I have to sacrifice that either to talk with somebody, to go visit somebody, or whatever it is, it's harder to do that sometimes.
Yep.
And we've been entrusted with time. The trick is we don't know how much time we have, like none of us do.
Right.
So in the moment that you do have it, why not do what you know to do today and now? So that's a
I'm
big thing for me that I've been entrusted with that I want to be more mindful of, that I can
okay.
give my time to others also.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. It's kind of funny how this works. So I've told you I listened to another podcast, and
Hmm.
a couple episodes back, they were actually talking about that. The guy who was on there talking, he said he works in a church, and his office is literally like there's a door and then there's a side window, and that window is the food pantry. Like his office, they
Hmm.
took a part of the food pantry to make his office. And he said, so he'll see people all day long, all the time, like going in and serving and doing like stuff for the food pantry and restocking food and like organizing and pulling. And he said there's two kinds of people. He said you've got
Hmm.
people who will give their money and have no problem with it. It's like, oh, contribution, yeah, I just write the check. I don't even think about it. It just automatically auto drafts out their account.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like people who are just really comfortable giving money, and
Hmm.
but they never show up for anything. Like they don't have time for anything.
Hmm.
And then you've
Yeah.
got people who they'll show up all day long to every single thing, but they will never write a check. Um, and he was talking about like, okay, we have been entrusted with both of those. You've been entrusted with money,
Hmm.
and you've been entrusted. And like I said, when we broke down the definition, to be entrusted with, God has given you that responsibility to act upon.
Hmm.
And so you have to act with your money and you have to act with your time.
Yeah.
And a comment that he made that kind of stuck with me was, you know, whichever one you don't like doing is probably the one you need to work on.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
That's real.
if you're one of those kind of people who's like, oh, I'll just write a check, like no problem, no problem, like then you probably need to work on giving more of your time and being there more and showing up more.
Hmm.
Whereas if you show up to everything, but you never like you haven't given contribution in like a year, like that's what you need to work on.
Yeah.
And it's about finding that happy medium because you have been entrusted with both of those and you do want to give both of those.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool that you had brought that up, and that's like what we were talking about in the other podcast.
Yeah. Cool, man. Look, see, we flowing like we didn't even share notes or nothing like that. And we are already flowing
Yup,
seamlessly.
yup. Well, cool, man. So I guess on along the same lines, I had just kind of made a note about what are we entrusted with. I know for me personally, um, I had to kind of sit down and think about it in terms of more than just stuff. But
Hmm.
I know like there's certain people that look up to me or that follow me.
Hmm.
For one, I've been blessed. I have my son, who that's a responsibility, and that God has entrusted me to be able to put into him,
Yeah.
and to be able to, to teach him about God and about Jesus, and really even outside of that, although that's the important part, but like I've been entrusted with his safety and to teach him, any and everything.
Hmm.
Um, Along with, his mom and other people have been entrusted to put into his life because he's a child.
Yeah.
And similarly to that relationship, was, kind of going into what we've been talking about. We've been spending a lot of time in Timothy, First and Second Timothy, um, was talking about the relationship between Paul and Timothy, and
Mm.
how Paul was entrusting into Timothy. He was pouring his life into him. He was pouring his knowledge into him. He was giving everything into Timothy. Whereas it was also expected, and Timothy had to want to accept that and to learn from him.
Mm.
And then, kind of with that, I know we've been doing a lot of house church and family group stuff. I know for our family
Mm.
group, we've been kind of breaking it down a little bit and talking about, okay, who are our Pauls and who are our Timothys? And if we
Yeah.
don't have those people, like, what do we need to do to get them? Because
Mm.
everybody seems to be in an agreement that you do need a Paul and a Timothy. You
Mm.
need somebody who's pouring into your life, and you need somebody that you're pouring into their life.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so I know that's something that I'm personally working on. I feel like I have a lot more people pouring into my life than I'm pouring into their life, which is, I feel like, a good thing.
Mm.
But I also need to get more consistent people pouring into my life. Um,
Mm.
whereas right now I have lots of different people who are kind of pouring in little bits, and I don't have like one person who's just like, okay, I'm going to help you.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like I don't know why. Like, I did it for business with my business. I went to
Mm.
another company. There was another company who was doing the same thing as me, but they were on a higher scale and doing things better than I thought I was doing.
Mm.
And I went to them and I said, "Hey, I like what you guys are doing. Would you mentor me for a year?" And the
Mm.
guy said, "Sure." And he started mentoring me, and I started learning from him, and he would like correct me and teach me and things like that. And for
Yeah.
some reason, that wasn't hard for me to do, but just kind of in my personal and my spiritual life, that's hard for me to do. It's to just go
Mm.
to somebody and say, "Hey, I need you to mentor me for a year. I need you just to be in my life. And here's all of my mess. And I
Mm.
need you to just pour into me."
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm working on right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. I didn't even think about that. At work is effortless, like
Yeah.
I know even for me personally, like I've had mentors, I'm at my company now, I have 4 years of work experience. So I'm not being mentored as much, but
Yep.
I'm now mentoring somebody else. So like I'm helping to mentor others. And I like it a lot. I enjoy it a lot. And I'm like, man, like why is it so hard? Why is it so much harder to do that like in life, to find somebody to invest in you or to find other people to invest in? But you
Right.
just have to be intentional about it, because one of the roadblocks to that I think is that we think that there aren't going to be people that are willing to do it, but you'll be
Yeah.
surprised by how willing. Not everybody's going to be willing to invest in you or be
Right.
invested in, but you'll be surprised by the amount of people that are willing to do it. You just
Yep.
have to find somebody that you can trust, somebody that
Yep.
trusts you,
Yep.
and having those intentional conversations are just being humble. Like, hey man, like I really need like your wisdom. I need your time, like your
Yep.
prayers, whatever it is. Like I want you to be like Paul. I want to be like your Timothy, And then
Yep.
for another person is like, I really think I can help you with this. I really think I can help you grow in these areas, and I can share my life and my experiences with you to make you better. If you're
Absolutely.
intentional, there's going to be people that are really open to that, and some people even really need that, and they may
Yep.
even be praying for that, so you can actually be somebody's answer to their prayer by
Yep.
doing that. So yeah, that's definitely true.
And it even makes it easier, because I feel like, for me, being that I'm focusing on this right now, I already have people in mind that I want to talk to about being my Paul, but I have no idea who I want to talk to
Mm.
about being my Timothy. And
Mm.
I and it's because you don't want to you don't want to spend your time pouring into somebody who doesn't want you to pour into them. Like you don't want to
Right.
feel like you're
Yeah.
wasting your time. So by being that person who
Mm.
says, like, "Hey, I want you to pour into me. I see something in you that I don't have that I'd like." Like, you're letting them
Mm.
know, like, "Hey, I will accept what you have to say, and I want to do something about it. You're not just going to be wasting your time or
Right.
wasting your breath. So
Hmm.
I definitely agree with that. I think that's a really cool thing about how it works is by asking somebody to be a Paul, you've automatically created a situation where like they want you to be their Timothy.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep.
Nice, man. Well, the other part of the series that we've talked about at church that we haven't really talked about is just the reliability factor,
Mm.
and how to know when someone specifically or something is reliable. And I know John Vasilio talked about that
Mm.
at church, and I think I tend to fall into the worldly mindset of thinking on that of like, oh, okay, this, you know, 50 people have said that this is a great thing, so it must be a great thing, or
Mm.
I just like, oh, it's got 5 stars, and that's kind of how we pick like, oh, this restaurant or this
Mm.
thing, but kind of one of the points that he made that I really appreciated, struggled with, and then am working on was that you have to show up
Mm.
and you have to build a reputation.
Mm.
Um, and like you can't have a reputation if you never show up.
Mm. Yeah.
And so, that's one of the things I've talked to you about that sometimes I feel like I have a hard time with because of the work that I've chosen to do, the work that I've chosen to do, and the job that I have. A lot of times, I feel like my schedule is opposite from a lot of what the public and the mass is doing. So sometimes I
Mm.
have to miss Sundays. Sometimes I have to miss Wednesdays because that's when I'm working. But I also was able to, talk to a couple of people and able to realize through them, like, hey, whenever they've called and needed to move, or whenever, on a Monday or Tuesday during the day, somebody needs something done, they call me and I'm available
Mm.
because that's when I'm not working, is when everyone else is working.
Mm.
So by me recognizing that and putting that out there to people, and then when people need stuff done, by me actually showing up, I am building that reputation of being a
Mm.
reliable person and being somebody who can be trusted and who people can come to, and that allows me to serve and to help them. Um,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I thought that encouraged me, that like somebody else had pointed that out to me because I was kind of having a hard
Mm.
time with the showing up side, and I was like, I feel like I can't show up because every time we meet as a group, it's when I have to work. uh,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, expectations, that's a big thing there about being reliable. One little funny thing about, I'm about to make somebody really mad, I know. Probably Sheldon, because I was going him about this. Nothing about him, but Sheldon is a big DC fan, right?
yep.
So I was going to go see the movie Aquaman, and like
Okay.
Sheldon, like he's hyping it up. Like a lot of people online, I see are hyping it up. One person had the nerve to say that it was the best DC movie since The Dark Knight. I'm like, okay. I'm gonna check this
Okay.
out. I trust these people's opinion. And I go there, man. I go to the movie and I watch it. I'm like, somebody lied to me. A lot of people lied to me. Like, so
I mean, it wasn't a
that's just
bad
like for
movie.
me.
It just wasn't the best movie since like.
Well, I thought it was actually a bad movie, but
Oh, okay.
Sheldon,
Okay.
yeah, Sheldon and I, we've talked about it. Yeah, so I kind of tease Sheldon about it all the time because he's a big DC fan. He's trying to get me
Yep.
more into DC. So that's just a little playful dig at Sheldon, who is actually a very reliable brother. But
Absolutely.
but when it comes to movie opinions about superheroes, like step it up.
Stay
I'm
away
just
from
joking.
Aquaman, is what you're saying?
Yeah. But so yeah, that was just a little joke about reliability. But for me, it's funny. The thing about reliability is that sometimes you don't really notice it until it's not there. It's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like, you expect it all the time, but then when you don't see it, it's like you kind of feel it. Like even things such as like, I don't know, like internet access. Like
Okay.
all throughout the day, you have your Wi-Fi on your phone, and like you're not really appreciating it. You're not really thinking about it until you don't have it. And then like if your
Yep.
Wi-Fi starts acting up, it keeps kicking you off your phone off it and things like that. And it's like, oh, then you start noticing like, oh, why isn't my Wi-Fi working? So it's interesting. Sometimes being reliable and being consistent, you're not going to be always appreciated it a lot of times. You know, you're
True.
not always going to be appreciated or acknowledged for it, but people will notice it when it's not there. Like when you're not present, people will start noticing it when you're not reliable.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've learned is just how to be satisfied and being reliable because it's the right thing to do and not because I'm going to be recognized for it. That's
Correct.
at the job. That's with my people, like keeping my word to people and being reliable in that way.
Yep.
That's a big thing I'm working on this year for me is when I give my word to people and say, I'll be there, I'll do that. I want to be able to actually do it and do it to the best of my ability. With that being said, you have to be very clear in your expectations with people because
Yes.
sometimes I feel like there's a disconnect between what people expect from you and what you're realistically able to do. So
Yep.
if you say like, hey, I can't talk with you every day, but we can talk on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because it's better for my schedule, and I hope it's better for yours too. That's
Mm-hmm.
another key to being reliable. That can help you increase your reliability is by staying within what you're able to do realistically.
Yep.
Because well, over time, you're always going to go with what's easier to do. And if it's something, if you've overpromised to people but you underdeliver, people are going to think of you as unreliable. But if
Yeah.
you set realistic expectations about what they can expect from you with your time, with your money, or whatever, it can makes it easier for you to be reliable in that way. You
True.
know, and I would rather underpromise and overdeliver than the vice versa. You know, than vice versa than the opposite. So that's one thing for me. Also, I want to have realistic expectations for people because I'm
Yeah.
this guy that I'm a big dreamer, right? I like thinking of things I want to do. Is oh yeah, I want to start this program. I want to do this. I want to do that. But if I'm not giving people realistic expectations, then I'm not going to be as reliable because it's going to be hard for me to meet what they expect. So
Right.
yeah, so that's something you said that reminded me of that. You have to set clear expectations with people and communicate what you're able to do so that you can reliably do that over time.
Absolutely. Communication is key.
Yeah.
Communication is key. I know
Yeah.
you and I have talked about that before,
Hmm.
so I'm right there with you. Yeah, communication is 100% key. And the point that you said too about kind of being in the background and not and doing stuff because it's right, not because you're getting patted on the back. That kind of goes back to exactly what Rick was talking about with the new school giving versus old school giving. He made the
Hmm.
example. He was like, sometimes we give contribution or whatnot because it feels good, and we know like, oh, okay, my kids are over in the other building. Part of my money is going to like funding that
Hmm.
building, or we've got people in Africa. Part of my money is going to funding those people in Africa, so we feel good about it.
Hmm.
But then he gave the example. He was like, "All right, well, what if everybody in the everybody in the room gave $50 and we just put them all in a pile and lit it on fire?
Burn it.
Like, are you still going to give your $50 next week because that's what God wants
Hmm.
you to do, or are you just giving
Hmm.
because you feel good about it?"
Right.
Um, so when he said that, I was like, "Wow, I never really thought about it in that way, but that's true."
Hmm.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Would I still give the $50 knowing he's just gonna light it on fire?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but but yeah, man. Showing up, communicating, being reliable, setting expectations.
Mhm.
All of that is super key for being reliable,
Yeah.
and that all goes towards building that reputation um, of being reliable. And I feel like you're a great person with that. I know you mentioned Sheldon earlier. Sheldon is one of the most reliable people that I know. Like if he
Yeah.
says he's going to do something, he does it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I want to be, I like to be known for something like that. I know you want to be known for that. I
Hmm.
feel like we're all kind of working towards that, and we're doing a pretty good job right now. But definitely want to keep encouraging you, and I'm going to keep working on myself
Hmm.
on being reliable and being trustworthy, specifically when it comes to the kingdom. People's
Right.
taste in movies, that's but especially with stuff that's gonna be bringing people towards God and really encouraging other people and
Hmm.
lifting them up and helping them to make it. We definitely want to be reliable. We definitely want to be trustworthy. Um,
Hmm.
and we want to be able to entrust and be entrusted with that, with
Yes.
serving and helping people. So,
Exactly. And another thing I just thought about also, and since this is a spiritual podcast, like there's
yep.
always a spiritual connection to even the wisdom that we talk about. And I just thought about the parable of the two sons. I don't remember which gospel it's in. It's in one of the gospels, but it
Hmm.
escapes my mind which one it is right now. But there's a parable, and it's a very short parable, and it's one that I read it the other week, and I'm like, wow, like I don't remember reading this before, but it's definitely in there. It's very short. So it's a very simple parable. When Jesus is saying there's two sons. For one son, the father came to him and asked him to do some work, and the son said, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it," but he didn't
Yeah.
do it. And then there was another son. The father went to him and said, "Hey, go do this work." And the son said, "No, I'm not going to do it." I mean, he just refused to do it to his father's face. But later he went and did it. And the conclusion of the parable is that the son that went and actually did what his father asked him to do was credited as being righteous and obedient because he actually
Right.
did it, you know. So there's a much bigger when it comes to being reliable, you know, you want to be more reliable in your actions than your words even, you know, because
Hmm.
the first son, he acted obedient. He was like, yeah, I'll do it, but he didn't do it, and he
Right.
wasn't credited as being righteous. He was seen as being in the wrong. But the son that even though he initially refused to do it, he went and did it, you know, that
Yeah.
was credited to him. It's like, okay, like you're obedient and you're righteous because of your actions there. And I really wish I could come up with the reference to that. If we had some time to do notes, I'll definitely make sure to include that next time, like what specific scripture it is. But that's
Yeah.
a really neat parable for me because I'm like, I would rather be more reliable and follow through in the things that I do rather than what I say because that makes a much bigger impact.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Oh, let's see what's going on. Somebody, let's see if this works. Um, bring in. Oh, okay. Somebody was trying to join the conversation. I was like, oh, we'll have some more people
Oh,
coming in
really?
here.
Wow.
It won't let me. It won't let me join them in the conversation right now, though.
That would be a really cool thing if we could do that, though, you know, like for
I know there's a
future
way to do
episodes.
it. I
Mhm.
don't know if I have the plugins or not to do it, but like I know
Mhm.
through Facebook and through Google you can do it like a conference call where you can have like up to 10
Mhm.
people join in on the conversation. So that's
Wow.
something we might need to research and then be able to have people populate in.
Cool. Yeah, we
Um,
definitely should look that up. We should look into that.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, man, that's I mean that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I appreciate you coming to me on Sunday and asking about the podcast.
Mhm.
I know originally we were talking about we wanted to try to do it every week, and then all the holiday stuff happened and things got a little bit crazy. And then we talked about maybe doing an every other week type deal. So definitely we'll figure that out on which one we're gonna do. And we'll definitely always post out before we do it, just so that if it's live, people can see it. If it's just going to be posted, then people can go back and we'll share the link with everybody.
Yeah.
But just I guess as a follow up for those who are joining, thank you for our viewers. I've seen two or three people pop on there so far. But we're just kind of covering the last what 3 4 sermons at Triangle talking about entrust um, and entrusting people and being entrusted by
Mhm.
God and by people with our money, with our relationships, and being reliable.
Yeah.
So I will try to make some notes on here as well when we finish up the live. I know we talked through some of the scriptures in First and Second Timothy
Mhm.
on Sundays, and if you find that parable and you want to drop it in
Yep.
the comment section down here, that'd be awesome. I've got one or
Yep.
two
I was
others
just
that I'll
about to
pop
mention that.
down.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I'll find it as soon as we finish, and I'll post it in the comment section here
Okay.
of the live stream.
Very
Yeah.
beautiful. Perfect, man. Well, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah. Man, I gotta step it up with my backdrop, man. You got the bookcase and the plant back there. You got on your blazer and everything. I just got like a blank wall behind me. I'm sitting on my futon, and I'm like, I feel unprepared, man. Like you gotta give me a heads up next.
It's all
But
good,
hey,
man.
next time we'll be in the studio though. We'll be in the studio
Exactly.
next time. So yeah, we'll look. I'll
Exactly.
look more professional next time. So I apologize to the audience for not being professional.
Nah, man, you're good. You're good. That's see, you did exactly what I said though. I was like, you got to find someplace quiet so that there's just not a bunch of commotion going around.
Yeah, it is
That's the
quiet.
main thing is that like you can hear and other people can hear you. I'm at the house and I have done podcasts and videos with other people before, and most of my
Hmm.
other videos, because I'm a DJ, there are music involved. So like I
Hmm.
have this wall, and I have two other walls in my house that are just covered in albums and 8 tracks. So usually I just set up where I'm sitting right in front of the albums, and people just kind of like see the albums in the background, and people are like, "Oh yeah,
Nice.
that's cool." Like, "Oh, he's got an 8 track player." There. Uh, so I just set up in the same spot as the last one, man.
Nice.
Oh
That's what's up, man.
goodness.
Well, we'll be in the studio next time. I'm looking at some people's
Absolutely.
comments also on the live stream. We getting I just noticed all these comments, man. It's like a lot of comments
Yeah.
here. The most recent
So
one is actually
what we
from
got to do,
fiance.
because I was talking to David to see if he could do it, but he said he wasn't going to be available. We need to have a third person who can just
Uh-huh.
like be off camera but answering all of our comments. Um,
Hmm.
but okay,
Yeah, I
so
agree.
Philippians, we've got an episode about unloving people. Absolutely, we're going to cover that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's a
yeah,
great idea.
definitely.
Love
If
and
you
unloving
guys
people.
are watching and you have something that you want us to cover, definitely drop it in the comments. We will go back through. We're still building our topics for the
Mhm.
year and what we want to talk about. Today, we just kind of covered Entrust because that's what we're doing at church. But
Mhm.
we've also already said that this is a spiritual podcast, but it's not going to be targeted just towards Triangle Church. So we've
Mhm.
got a marriage counselor who wants to come on and be a part of this. We talked about talents in general, and then talents at church with Kevin Darby last week. We've
Yeah.
got some political figures and retired law enforcement that we're hoping to talk to. We're hoping to cover some racial issues. Oh my goodness,
Mhm.
especially February with Martin Luther King and Black History Month. We've definitely got to
Oh yeah.
touch on some of that stuff coming up here
Yeah.
in the next month. So
Mhm.
definitely, if you have something or if you want to be a part of the podcast, let us know, and we'll see if we can work that out as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thanks everybody that joined in. Thanks for all the comments and especially my fiance Jovi. I love you. Thank you for your feedback and for an idea for one of our future episodes. We're definitely going to keep that in mind, how to love and unloving people in a godly perspective. I think that's a great
Yes.
idea. So yeah, so
Yep.
see, I'm a blessed man. I have a brilliant fiance. So
There you go, man.
but,
Congratulations. Congratulations.
thanks, man.
I'm so pumped about that.
Appreciate it.
So
Yeah.
pumped. Well, cool,
Amen.
man.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's it for our show today, guys. But thanks for being with us, and
Mhm.
we will get this posted up right now. I know we're live, but we're gonna save it onto the page, and then we're gonna shoot the link out to a couple of different places as well. So we hope you guys will join us next time. It'll either be next week or the following week, but we will post that up so that you guys have an opportunity to join us as well.
Yeah.
Devontae,
Yeah.
I will see you later, man.
All right, man. Talk to you later, man.
Peace.
Peace.